What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the Gears Cast. Welcome, everyone, to the Gears Cast, the best Gears of War podcast here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. There's a lot of excitement around a possible Gears of War collection, and I wanted to talk in this first segment of the show about Xbox reportedly bundling Gears of War games into the Marcus Phoenix collection or the Gears of War collection. And we've been talking about this more and more, guys. You guys can check out all of our Gears of War collection content here on the YouTube channel. But I want to talk about this article that came out from comingsoon.net and Alex Santa Maria. So let's talk about it. So, guys, Nick Baker of the Xbox Era podcast has reported over the weekend that Xbox could have a new collection of Gears of War games in the works for release this year. This would presumably follow the footsteps of the Master Chief Collection, a Halo compilation that included everything in the franchise through Halo 4, alongside tons of remastered content. So first and foremost, the big part about this report that's coming out and rumor coming out, guys, is that this is something that could be coming out this year here in 2022. A Gears of War collection could be really something special that could bridge our time between Gears 5 to Gears 6. This could be something, if we have to wait until 2024 or 2025 for Gears 6, this could definitely be something that's really special that could help kind of bridge that gap between games. Baker was originally coy about what the franchise would get the collection treatment on the podcast, but eventually relented when his chat all guessed that it would be the third-person shooter Juggernaut. In addition, Baker said that it made sense to be a reveal for Xbox's June showcase, especially since it's rumored to be hitting the console by the end of the calendar year. Of course, nothing has been confirmed or hinted at, so only time will tell if this comes to fruition. Obviously, guys, I'll be giving you all of the, anything that comes out of Xbox Game Showcase. I'm going to be talking about it here on the YouTube channel, talking about everything Gears of War. So, Gears of War has seen one remaster already, and it was a pretty well-received one. Gears of War Ultimate Edition redid the original game's campaign for the Xbox One in 2016. It brought new levels from the PC release to consoles for the first time and modernized the visuals. It was also the first time in the series for the Coalition, the team that had fostered Gears of War since Epic Games ended its original trilogy and went off to take over the gaming world with Fortnite. A possible Gears collection could give the same treatment to Gears of War 2 and 3, and even possibly include the People Can Fly developed spin-off title Gears Judgment. None of these games ever saw a PC release, meaning the collection could also bring the game to new audiences too. It's unclear if a possible Marcus Phoenix collection would also include either the Xbox One entries or focus specifically on bringing the Xbox 360 titles up to date. Either way, a collection does make sense since the Coalition has said since 2021 to not expect Gears 6 or anything else from the studio for a long while. So, yes. So, I think what's important here, guys, is that the collection could have, of course, Gears of War 2, Gears of War 3, and even possibly Gears Judgment, which I'm not completely opposed to having Gears Judgment in there as well. The more content that you have, the better for us as Gears fans. I just think that the more content you have, the better when it comes to bridging that gap to waiting for Gears 6. Gears of War 2, guys, I thought, the first Gears of War when that came out, absolutely loved it. Gears of War 2, I think, took it to another level, and then Gears 3 eclipsed that as well in my mind. Gears of War 3 is still the greatest Gears of War title in my opinion. I know a lot of people loved Gears of War 2, but Gears of War 3 for me was the peak of Gears of War as we know it. Gears Judgment, even though I think it was a major step down in a number of ways, I still think it would be cool to see it remastered, to kind of go back. Maybe they could add some things to Judgment to try to, kind of bring us back and maybe hopefully could add a few things that could make the story a little bit better or whatever the case may be. But that being said, all in all, a Gears of War collection with Gears 2, Gears 3, as well as Gears Judgment could be something really special in my opinion. This could really help guys bridge the gap. It could also maybe, you never know from a competitive perspective. Obviously, Gears Esports is going to be shut down here shortly, but it would be nice to see maybe we go if the Gears War collection does well enough, we could see the Gears esports scene really come back into the fray. And then when Gears 6 comes out, we're off to the races once again. Because that's the biggest thing for me, guys, is not only having a sustainable title, which the Gears War collection, I think, is going to bring us back to the past. We're going to reminisce about the past a lot as well, just because these games we played and we love these titles. I think, like I said, it could really bridge that gap, but it could also really help kind of fuel the fire once again from a competitive perspective, and hopefully the Coalition can see that. But it really comes down to, guys, I'm not sure whether or not we're going to be getting it this year. I'm hoping we do, because then that would really help us out when it came to bridging that gap while we're waiting for Gears 6. But let me know, guys, what do you all think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think we're going to be hearing about a Gears of War collection really soon? Let me know. And for more Gears of War collection content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. The hype and anticipation for the next Gears of War title is well underway, guys. Whether we're talking the Gears of War collection or if we can continue looking to the future, that being a Gears 6. Well, guys, it looks like we're taking a pretty big step forward when it comes to Gears 6 and that potential development, even though we don't have it confirmed at this point in time that the Coalition's working on Gears 6. I think that there is definitely things and signs that are pointing us in that direction. So let's talk about it. So guys, in an article coming to us from Luhei Liang of The Gamer, the next Gears of War is preparing for motion capture. Gears of War is one of Xbox's most well-known series, making waves since it debuted back in November of 2006. Famous for its third-person shooter mechanics, AI, and cinematics, fans have had a long wait since the last entry, Gears 5, came back in 2019. But it looks like things are gearing up for the next entry in the Gears series. So, as spotted by Segment Next, a job listing posted this week points to the Coalition seeking talent as it develops what could be Gears 6. While Epic Games was the original developer of Gears of War with the famed games designer Cliff Bleszinski working on the first 3 titles, the series was handed over to Vancouver-based The Coalition for the 4th entry and remains so up to the present. Now the Coalition is looking for a motion capture technician as it presumably collects mocap data for Gears 6. Or could it be something else? Recently, someone with apparent insider knowledge said that the Gears of War series could be next in line to receive a Halo-style Master Chief Collection. Apparently, this remastered collection of Gears games could release this year even. While playing through Gears accelerated with Xbox Series X hardware so that the visuals are 4K and gameplay is buttery smooth with high frame rates, is a tantalizing prospect, especially as the games still seem to hold up very well today. Fans are still left waiting for a sequel. Now, before we go any further, guys, I think it's important to note, when we're talking about motion capture, most likely, that being for the Gears of War collection, I don't believe that they would need to use much motion capture whatsoever for a Gears of War collection, because it's primarily just remasters and things of that nature. They're probably, just updating the graphics, maybe adding a couple of new maps and things of that nature. They probably don't need much, if any, motion capture for the Gears of War collection. That's why, in my mind, I'm looking at this as they're pushing forward with their next thing, that being, Gears 6, without a doubt. Even though it may not be they're all on board, all hands on deck essentially for Gear 6. I think that they're definitely have a small team at this point working on it, because we know the Coalition is working on their own new IP, which is going to be coming out probably at some point in 2023. And then if the Gears of War collection comes out this year, I would say probably after the Gears of War collection and that, next IP, the new IP from the Coalition comes out, then they're going to be putting more resources towards Gears 6. So those with mocap capturing experience might want to head to Microsoft's website, since the Coalition wants a technician who can ensure high-quality data capture and who can assist the team on capture projects. The official home of the Gears of War franchise is definitely gearing up for major releases in the not-too-distant future. So I agree. I think there's some big things happening behind the scenes, guys. over at the Coalition. I'm really excited about it. I just hope that we get our announcement of the Gears of War collection, but we also get kind of just a really quick, even small teaser of Gears 6, just kind of them letting us know, hey, this is coming at some point. It's going to be in the distant future, but Gears of War collection is going to definitely quench your thirst, at least right now. It's going to be that bridge title to Gears 6, and then Gears 6 is definitely still coming. That's what I'm most excited about, or like really most hoping for we get here at the Xbox Game Showcase. But with that being said, what do you guys think? Do you think that the motion capture, these positions that they're trying to fill, that being the Coalition, do you think that they're looking for motion capture for the Gears of War collection, for Gear 6, or for something all, different altogether? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for more Gear 6 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Major Militia is back, guys, and I'm super excited to give you all of that news, because this has been something that I've been working on for quite some time, is to bring this beloved team that I absolutely love, bring it back to the forefront, bring it back for all of you, and to really try to make an impact in the esports community, that really revolving around Gears of War. I mean, guys, I have dedicated now my YouTube channel moving forward to the Gears of War scene and what we can do there. Obviously, we're going to be still talking about other games and things of that nature, but I really thought that, I wanted to make an impact in the Gears of War community and what we can, do moving forward when it comes to esports and things of that nature for Gears of War. And I just believe in this franchise so much. I believe in the community so much, as well as the developers, that we're going to be able to get this thing figured out. And Major, I wanted to bring this team back as a Gears of War team, as really a content team first, more than anything, but a Gears of War team, and who knows where it could go in the future. Major started as a Call of Duty team, actually, in the trick shotting and sniping scene in COD, and over time, guys, obviously, I left Major. It was a team that I was there from the very beginning with SB Sway, who founded the team. And, it's just it was such an incredible experience when we go, back all the way to, 2014, which is when I joined Major. And what an incredible experience that was with being with SB Sway and being there throughout, just the highs, the lows of the team. I made mistakes along the way. The team got hacked. I mean, there was all kinds of things that happened. But that being said, I always felt that there was something really special with Major, and that's why I'm bringing Major Militia back. And obviously, we're going to have a focus on content in Gears of War, and that's going to be kind of the starting point for this team, right? And we'll see where it goes into the future. But yes, guys, we're obviously going to be ramping up when it comes to the content on Major Militia's YouTube channel and such. I'm super excited about the future of this team. If you guys are interested in joining the movement, guys, definitely go check out Major Militia. We're going to be having a lot of content go up there on the YouTube channel. I'm super excited about it, and I'm really, I want to thank all of you guys out there for the support you've been giving me on my channel, and I'm really excited to see where we can go with Major Militia and what kind of impact we can make on, the content community, on the Gears of War community. That's what our focus is at this point in time, guys. Whatever it takes for us to get Gears of War out there in a major way, in a way where we want this to be one of the biggest franchises in the world. What's it going to take for that, guys? It's going to take all of us together to make this thing a sustainable ecosystem and something that we want to see thrive in the future. But that being said, guys, Major Militia is back, and I can't wait to see, what the future holds for the team. I've got huge plans for it, guys. Hope you guys are along on the ride. Join the movement if you guys want to. And like I said, Major Militia, all of that information will be in the description down below. Let's go. I'm so excited about the future of Gears of War, guys, and what that looks like, whether we're talking the Gears of War collection, whether we're talking the Gears of War movie, whether we're talking Gears 6. Whatever we're talking when it comes to Gears, I am incredibly excited. And obviously the big one that I'm excited about, more than a collection, more than the movie itself is Gears 6, the future of the franchise. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. And with that being said, I want to talk about everything points to Gear 6 being under development in some form or way or another over at the Coalition. Whether it's, in full-blown, they have a whole team working on Gear 6, or it's just, in the initial concept stages. Whatever the case may be, I believe Gear 6 development is underway. Let's talk about it. So guys, coming to us in an article from Shubhankar Periat of Gaming Bolt. Gears 6 development seems to be underway. It looks like the gap between Gears 5 and its sequel is going to be longer than it has ever been between two mainline Gears of War games. Gears 5 launched in 2019, and even though we got an excellent expansion the following years in Gears 5 Hive Busters, enough time has passed that series fans are beginning to crave more of its cover shooting action. And it seems developer, the Coalition, might be beginning the process of developing Gears 6, or whatever the next mainline Gears of War installment ends up being called. As spotted by Segment Next, the Coalition recently put up a job ad for a motion capture technician specifically to work on the Gears of War franchise, which we've been talking about, guys. Obviously, they are hiring a motion capture technician, which is huge. There's no explicit mention of Gears 6, of course, but one would assume that that's what the studio will be working on when it comes to this series. In December of 2021, in fact, the Coalition was also looking to recruit a live design director specifically for Gears of War again, with the ad mentioning that the applicant would shape and lead our live PvP and PvE experiences on future titles. Either way, it seems like the studio is in the very early stages of production here and is currently putting the pieces into place before it gets into full swing. It also is worth mentioning that the Coalition is known to be working on multiple projects, one of which is a new IP. Leaks have claimed that the new IP will launch first before the developer shifts focus to Gears 6 and will be a smaller and more experimental project, allowing the Coalition to properly familiarize itself with Unreal Engine 5, which it recently shifted its development pipeline to. Interestingly, a recent leak also claimed that a remastered collection of Gears of War, similar to the Halo Master Chief Collection, is also in the works. So, first off, we talked about this, guys, earlier in one of the earlier segments of the show, that, motion capture is something that I feel that the Coalition would be using for a future entry in Gears of War or their new IP. I don't believe they would be using it for the Gears of War collection if that's what's being worked on at this point as well, because they would just be remastering the title with updated graphics, getting some new maps maybe in there. There's probably a number of things that they're doing to the collection, but I don't believe that they would be needing motion capture. Motion capture is going to be for probably their new IP or Gear 6, and so that's why I feel them hiring a motion capture technician is telling us a lot. Even though it's not telling us much at all, right? I think that, the Coalition, we're going to be finding out more and more at the Xbox Game Showcase, and I'm sure we're going to be finding out more information later throughout the rest of the year, which I'm really excited to be able to kind of keep all of you as informed as possible about what's going on behind the scenes over at the Coalition. It's really exciting, to say the least, guys, because in my mind, Gear 6 is in development right here, right now. Now, it's probably in the very, I would say earlier stages of development. There's certainly, if they're getting motion capture, that means that they may be a little bit further along than we originally thought. But if they're planning on making this the biggest, best Gears of War title ever, you're going to want them to be working on it before it comes out in, say, 2024 or 2025. Let me know, though, guys, what do you think about this in the comment section down below? Do you think that this means that Gears 6 is definitely underway, or do you think it's just the Coalition's new IP? Do you think it's the Gears of War collection? What do you guys think it is that the Coalition is working on at this point in time with a motion capture technician? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Gears 6 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. In my mind, Gears of War has a multitude of different, elements to it that make it such a special title and one of my favorite games of all time. Number one, of course, guys, the story is incredible, right? And that's what makes any great franchise move forward, is really the story. On top of that being the multiplayer experience, which is incredible, right? Has greenlit, the Gears esports scene. Obviously, that's going to be shutting down here shortly, but we're thinking it's going to come back with the next Gears of War entries and things of that nature. But even at that, I mean, all the things from Horde mode to Hive Busters to, I mean, all, Beast mode, all these different modes that Gears of War has created make the title super special. Well, it's interesting, guys, because an article came out talking about how Gears of War's multiplayer, which I believe is one of the greatest multiplayer modes of all time, guys. I absolutely love multiplayer with Gears of War. It was almost cut from the game. Let's talk about it. So, guys, in an article coming to us from Anne-Marie Ostler of Games Radar, Gears of War's multiplayer element was very nearly removed from the game. Gears of War's multiplayer element was very nearly removed from the game. The first Gears of War is one of Xbox 360's most memorable shooters, not least because of its brilliant multiplayer offering, but things could have been very different. Speaking on War Stories Season 1 Episode 32, Lee Perry, gameplay designer and lead level designer on Gears of War, reveals how the team almost axed the game's multiplayer modes shortly before launch. While multiplayer was something that the team was always keen on implementing, the studio's small size made it difficult. In terms of the manpower we had associated with the effort, we didn't have a team of people just making multiplayer maps, recalls Perry. Hefty competition from the likes of Halo also made the team feel as if they were dramatically losing that battle. But the biggest obstacle the developer faced was how to implement Gears of War's slower pace into a multiplayer game and still make it enjoyable to play. Initially, the team made maps similar to those in Counter-Strike and Unreal Tournament, but as these games are all about mobility, the maps didn't make for a fun time in Gears of War. It was always a train wreck, explains Perry. We were at the start of summer, and this thing is shipping in fall, and there was a very specific moment where we were having those discussions of, do we just cut this, he says. I mean, can you imagine, guys, Gears of War not having multiplayer mode? I mean, it's just like mind-blowing to me to even think that that was a consideration. I mean, we're looking in hindsight because the first Gears of War, they just didn't know, right? I could have totally understood if they wanted to make a title that being, Gears of War, just having a story mode, maybe Horde mode, and not even including a multiplayer because, they're taking a pretty big risk on, resources and things of that nature for multiplayer. But I've always said, guys, the games that are my favorite to play are the ones that have full packages, that being a full-blown campaign mode, multiplayer modes, and co-op modes. If you have all three of those things, that, in my mind, is what makes up a true AAA title. And Gears of War, guys, was the first one that I really played ever that had all three of those things. The Xbox 360 that I purchased, Gears of War came with it, and with it came this package that was unbelievable. Now, sure, multiplayer was not perfect then, but to what we've gotten to this point, we have a Gears of War, the multiplayer elements of it, in my mind, it is the greatest third-person shooter of all time. From a multiplayer perspective, I think from a story perspective, it's incredible, right? Now, sure, people will argue that games like Fortnite are a better shooter, competitively and things of that nature. I just think that there's nothing like Gears of War, and I think that Gears is the third-person shooter of our time. Rather than shipping the game without multiplayer, the team worked hard on designing maps built around Gears of War's signature playstyle. Perry explains that the team now forced the enemies to come out at one location to avoid the frustration that comes with opponents suddenly killing you out of nowhere. As well as these choke points, low walls and obstacles were added to allow players to see across the battlefield but still be protected by cover. Much like in the single-player campaign, the whole point was that you had the opportunity to see what those people were doing, Perry explains. And I got to tell you guys, it's a really interesting story hearing these things that have come out, that Gears of War's multiplayer, the way, it's like you feel a certain way when you realize behind the scenes before the game that a game that you absolutely love and have admired for so many years. It really puts things into perspective when you start hearing that they were going to axe the multiplayer from the very beginning. And that could have changed Gears of War's history forever. We may have never gotten a trilogy. We may have never gotten up to this point, all the way to Gears 5. It may have stopped after, the trilogy, Gears 1, 2, and 3. It's a very much so a high possibility. And if they would have made Gears of War 1 without multiplayer, would they have made the second and the third one without multiplayer? It's just a really interesting thing, guys. This greenlit so much, and that's why I'm totally fine with the Coalition taking their time with the next Gears of War project, because I wanted to have that feel for everybody in the community that we all feel that Gears of War is 100% back and it's going to be better than ever. We're going to take over the third-person shooter space, be the esport of our time when it comes to a third-person shooter perspective, be a title that we continue to admire, but like are really excited about moving forward. Because the truth is, guys, is that there's been peaks and valleys with Gears of War, just like any major franchise out there. Gears of War is no different. I mean, it's had rough launches. Every Gears of War title has a rough launch, it seems. And so I just want them to hone out those issues that they've had, make this the best possible title you can, that being Gear 6, and let's move forward into the future. But what do you guys think about Gears of War's multiplayer? Was almost taken out completely of the original game. I mean, what do you guys think about that? That really puts into perspective how much an appreciative I am of not only Gears of War as a franchise, but that those developers, that being Epic Games, didn't take multiplayer out, because we may never have gotten where we are right now in the Gears of War franchise. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for more Gears of War content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Along the same vein of our previous segment, I want to talk, guys, about some of the struggles that Gears of War had. Not only did it have struggles with possibly cutting the multiplayer completely from the original first Gears of War title, but Lee Perry, guys, who was a gameplay designer for Gears of War, he was also talking about some of those other struggles regarding Gears of War in an interview that he had, mentioning that, there were struggles with, them making Gears of War on the Xbox 360. And I thought that a lot of this was really interesting. It gives you some context as our past, that being, the original Gears of War title, to where we are now, guys. We were talking in the last segment about how multiplayer, if that would have been cut from Gears of War, how that could have changed Gears of War forever. Some of these other things, it launching on Xbox 360 and things of that nature, all of these things could have changed the history of Gears of War as we know it. So let's talk about it. So guys, in an article coming to us from Ben Carey of Pure Xbox, way back in 2006, the current behemoth that is Epic Games created Gears of War, an iconic Xbox franchise in this day and age. However, back when the first game was in development, Epic was a very different company made up of a much smaller team. Gameplay designer at the time, Lee Perry, has now sat down with Ars Technica to discuss the birth of Gears of War and how multiplayer almost never happened. Well, what's interesting, guys, one of the things that massively framed how Gears of War worked was this drive to show off 3D characters. How do we get enemies close enough to you that you can see them? How can we narrow in the camera enough that they're filling enough of the screen and that they matter? It was a very tricky balancing act to try to get a shooter to work with somebody who's 12 feet away from you in game. And it's really interesting, guys, because obviously, when you start like just hearing this, them trying to like all the balancing, all the different things that they were trying to figure out in this very first Gears of War title, I'm sure it would have been really interesting to be in that room of creators, making this, amazing masterpiece of a franchise. Gears of War went on to become a smash hit on Xbox 360, hitting a Metacritic score of 94 and birthing an entire series that Microsoft now owns. That being said, multiplayer has become such a core part of that series that it's hard to believe it almost never happened. And so, like he said, we were very much on the fence that I don't even know if multiplayer is going to make it in Gears at that time. We were at the start of summer, and this thing is shipping in the fall, and there was a very specific moment where we were having those discussions of, do we just cut this? In the end, it was a playtest on the Gears map, now known as Gridlock, that ultimately made up the team's mind. Once the good times started to flow on Gridlock, the team made it their mission to ship multiplayer with Gears of War. The rest, as they say, is history. So guys, we have a lot to thank. We've got Gridlock, though, to thank without a doubt for Gears of War having multiplayer. Gridlock is for sure what I think was probably the deciding factor, or a big deciding factor, of keeping multiplayer in the game. And that is something that's really, really special to me, because now, guys, what our job is going to be, this game was created by Epic Games. The Coalition now has the responsibility of moving this franchise forward. We as a community have the responsibility of pushing this thing to the next level. And so, looking back on the past, I think, it's important that we see that, certain things that we have now in Gears were almost not going to happen. And if they didn't happen, we would have never had what I believe to be the greatest third-person shooter ever made. And so we have a lot to thank, when it comes to Epic Games, and even what the Coalition's doing with bringing Gears back. They didn't have to bring it back, but, Microsoft decided to bring this franchise back. And yes, there's going to be peaks and valleys throughout the course of Gears of War's history, guys. But now it's going to be time when the Gears of War collection, Gears 6, whatever it may be that comes out, guys, we have got to do our very best to push this thing in a direction where it becomes a sustainable ecosystem. And I'm going to need all of you guys to help with that, guys, creating content on a consistent basis around this game and around this franchise. Or if you don't create content, supporting your favorite content creators, supporting your favorite streamers is going to be absolutely imperative if you want to see this franchise move forward in a positive direction. But with that being said, guys, what do you think about this? Hearing some of these things, that there was a lot of issues behind the scenes when it came to Gears of War, the multiplayer side to launching on the Xbox 360. What do you guys think about it? It brings me to a real appreciation for what this thing all, how this thing all happened, because it wasn't meant to happen the way it did. What do you guys think, though? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Gears of War content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. With the Gears of War collection all but confirmed at this point in time, guys, I want to talk about everything that we won out of the Gears of War collection. Assuming that it's going to be coming out, guys, I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts and opinions here, and the things that I want to see out of the Gears of War collection. I'd love, some of you would probably agree with some of these things. Some of you may disagree. I'd love to hear the things that you want to see out of the Gears of War collection in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So guys, I'm going to give you 5 things that I want to see out of the Gears of War collection. Coming in at number 1. Even though I think that this is probably, there's been a lot of rumor that, the Gears of War collection is going to be Gears 1 to 3. There's been some rumors that it's not going to be that. It's going to be, something else. It's going to be like a Marcus Phoenix collection. In my mind, though, we got the Gears Ultimate Edition, which was the Gears of War remastered game, which I thought, was pretty well received by everyone. So I don't necessarily need to see Gears of War 1 brought into the Gears of War collection. If they want to do that, that's fine, but I personally want to see Gears 2, 3, and Judgment. I want to see those 3, even though it's not necessarily the Marcus Phoenix collection at that point. It's the Gears of War collection, right? If they put 1 in there, it'd be cool to see Gears 1 to Gears Judgment. I think that would be really cool. Even though I thought Gears Judgment was kind of the dark ages of Gears of War, I think bringing that into the Gears of War collection would be something special. I think that they could definitely maybe make that game a little bit better received, I guess you could say, with some updated graphics and things of that nature. So for me, guys, I really want to see Gears 2, Gears 3, and Gears Judgment in the Gears of War collection. Coming in at number 2 for me, guys, I would love to see some existing maps, of course, some existing, weapons, things of that nature, but I'd also like to see some new maps. I would love to see some new maps here in the Gears of War collection, just kind of a tease, because I think this would be a great opportunity for the Coalition to kind of show off a couple of things that maybe they're thinking about putting into Gear 6. Put in a couple of new maps, put in a couple of new weapons, maybe even a creature here or there, from the Locust Horde that's a little bit different, just to kind of see what we as the community think of it. I think this is a great testing place, because if we're talking the Gears of War collection being the bridge between Gears 5 to Gears 6, And this one's going to take us, maybe, if Gear 6 is coming out in 2024 or 2025, this will be a great bridge game. So I think they could really implement a few things to see, what we think of it as a community, that being like new maps, some new weapons, things of that nature. Coming in, guys, at number 3 for me. I would absolutely love to see Gears and the Coalition take, a page out of Halo and 343 Industries book. That being making the multiplayer or some of the elements of the Gears of War collection free to play. I would absolutely love to see the multiplayer modes become free to play for just, for the general public, whether it's like a certain modes, maybe I wouldn't say necessarily like horde mode or whatever the case may be, but I would say like having a multiplayer that is free to play, similar to what Halo did with Halo Infinite. I think that's very important, especially moving into Gear 6. If we want this to be a sustainable title, I think free to play has got to play some role or part in that. So I would say that a multiplayer modes in Gears 6, or I should say Gears of War Collection, should be free to play, and then they can kind of see the general reception around that, and then they can implement that as well into Gears 6. Coming in at number 4, guys, we got the program update from Gears Esports that Gears of War is, and the Coalition is going to shut down Gears Esports, at least for the time being. That being said, I would love to see Gears Esports return with the Gears of War collection. Now, how that would look and what modes they would use, which game they would do, all of those things obviously are to be debated on for sure. But I would say, guys, bringing back Gears Esports into the fray is very important. And I'm going to be doing my part to, if Gears Esports isn't back 100%, doing our part to make sure that the competitive scene is something that we continue to try to build to Gear 6, so that when Gear 6 comes out, if the Coalition decides not to bring Gears Esports back for the Gears of War collection, bringing it back for Gear 6 is absolutely imperative in my opinion for the long withstanding future of Gears of War. Esports has got to play a part in that. Gears Esports, in my opinion, is the greatest third-person esport in the world, and I don't even think it's close. I mean, yes, I know Fortnite is a massive third-person shooter, and obviously it's a bigger title than Gears of War, but I think that Gears Esports needs to continue in some way, shape, or form, and we got to be the ones that do that. But I would love to see Gears Esports return with the Gears of War collection. And then lastly, guys, at number 5, I really would love, one of the biggest criticisms of Gears 5 was the rank up system, and just how the rank up system didn't really feel very good, didn't have a lot of, great unlockable items, the ranks weren't that great, things of that nature I really want to see improved upon here with the Gears of War collection, because I think that's one of the things that brings you back to the experience over and over again. If you have a really good rank up system, if you have really good unlockable items, it keeps you going back over and over again. Instead, having earnable items rather than payable items, it's fine to have things that you can pay for, but the earnable items should be like the prestigious items that you can't buy, the things that you have to earn. I think makes it, you come back to the experience over and over again. I think that's going to be really important moving into the Gears of War collection and into the future of Gears of War. But let me know, guys, what do you think about that? Do you guys think that, all of those things are things that you would want to see? Do you think there's different things that you want to see? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Gears of War collection content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the Gears Cast. And if you guys did, all I ask is that you hit that thumbs up button, guys. That helps out the YouTube channel in a massive way. Subscribe if you're new, if you want to get notifications of new videos that come out on the YouTube channel. Daily content, guys. Super excited. Thank you so much for all the support you guys have been giving me. It means the world to me. Check out Major Militia in the description down below. Join the movement, guys, as we continue to create Gears content and content just in general, guys, on Major Militia. Huge plans there. Super excited about it. Thank you again, guys, for all the support and love. I appreciate each and every one of you. Just keep grinding. Stay positive. And as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.